Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dugout Debrief. My name is Jack Burke, and today I'm going to be breaking down the Game 1 of the midweek series between the Texas Rangers and St. Louis Cardinals, where the Texas Rangers are coming off of a three-game sweep of the Kansas City Royals, and the St. Louis Cardinals are coming off of a series win against the Chicago Cubs. So both these teams are trying to continue their winning ways, especially with the pitching matchup we have here between Jacob deGrom and Michael McGreevy. Both these pitchers have been staple pieces in their rotations up to this point, and we'll get right into it. So Jacob deGrom, he goes 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts, which brings his season total to a 3.48 ERA and a 1.01 WHIP. deGrom, obviously one of the staple names of our kind of generation of pitchers in this new age of the 2010s and 2020s. He's been not as healthy the last few years, but he's been, after winning back-to-back Cy Youngs, he's one of the bigger names in the pitching market of all time. So he had a really good month of April, where he had a 1.35 ERA, but he's sort of cooled off this month in May, which he had a 5.72 ERA in the month of May as a whole, but his WHIP remained at a 1.06, which can really only mean one thing. He had a very big spike in home runs given up. He gave up 9 home runs this last month, and the hard hit percentage from 2025 has jumped up nearly 5% from 41.9% in 2025 to 46.2% in 2026. It's definitely concerning because most of these home runs are coming off of the four-seam fastball, which is his highest percentage pitch in his arsenal. We'd like to see him kind of make an adjustment there, but overall, he's still been pretty damn good for the Rangers. And he had a good start in this game against the Cardinals, who had a really good offensive series against the Cubs, and that could be a testament to the Cubs pitching as of late. But the Cardinals are still a pretty good offensive team up to this year, and getting a good start at Jacob deGrom is big here, especially when he's trying to get that 100th career win. But yeah, like I said, he goes 5 innings pitch without giving a run, striking out 8. I'd like to see him go a little bit longer, but his pitch count was getting up there in the low 90s, and with him kind of getting up there in age as well, he's not going to go anything longer than that. And then getting into Michael McGreevy, because I just covered the Cardinals in one of my last few breakdowns, I kind of covered him in his last start, and so I'll kind of just get into what he did this game. He goes 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, and brings his season total to a 2.98 ERA and a 1.1 WHIP. Pretty good outing though, going 6 against a more hot Rangers offense as of late, which is kind of surprising because they weren't getting off to the greatest start. But you don't like the 2 walks here. He's not really a walk guy, but he's not really a strikeout guy either. So good, getting 6 out of him, only 2 runs, not too bad. Early in this game, the Cardinals had a chance to score early on a Victor Scott double down the right field line. Nolan Gorman was on first base, and I feel like any other guy, unless you're like Alec Burleson, if you're put in that position on first base, if you're a Cardinals base runner, they probably score on that hit, on that double from Victor Scott. Unfortunately, because it was Nolan Gorman, he's in the bottom 7th percentile in sprint speed for active MLB players, so he did not clear the bases on that, unfortunately, and the next at bat, JJ Weatherholt lines out to second base. So while the Cardinals did have chances early, deGrom kind of settled in, and there were a few defensive mishaps that had gone on in the infield earlier in the game as well, but that's kind of why we saw deGrom's pitch count get a little high towards the end of his outing. Nonetheless, though, he was able to kind of stay with it and not give up any runs. But the first run that we did see come across the plate in this game was was an RBI from Ezekiel Duran. He's had a great, honestly, season up to this point, particularly in the month of May as well, where we've seen his play increase a lot, um, hitting a 288 batting average, um, not nearly as high as an OPS, but he has a career 687 OPS, which includes this season. But this season he's hitting a 23 OPS, so he's got a lot of speed in the middle infield, on defense, and McGreevy just missed a curveball here over the plate. He took advantage of it, driving it to left field, and Nimmo, who has pretty good speed as well, was able to round the bases and score that first run for the Rangers. And then bringing in the second run for the Rangers was actually a guy that we kind of wrote off last season, in Jock Peterson. In the smaller sample size that we have seen him this season, he's been pretty good for the Rangers, particularly in the month of May. He had a 920 OPS. This season, he has 170 plate appearances against righties and just 8 against lefty pitchers, as he is a lefty. So the Rangers management are kind of utilizing him strategically up to this point, and it seems to be working. He's really been slugging well and driving in runs. And with the absence of Corey Seager, who hasn't really been hitting either, we've seen an uptick in Jock Peterson. But this offense has been clicking as of recent for the Rangers. I haven't even mentioned a guy like Josh Young. He's leading right now in the American League, I think, in batting average, and so still a lot of talent in this lineup. You like to see better contributions from the rotation. You have a lot of young talent there too, and some veteran guys like DeGrom, Evaldi, but Jack Leiter and like Kumar Rocker, they need to get going. Leiter has one of the more higher ERAs in the league right now. He has a good start in this last series against the Royals, but you'd like to see some of these guys pitch a little bit better for this Rangers squad, because coming into the season, they were definitely still a shoo-in to compete for the AL West title. Obviously, I don't know if that's necessarily the case after the Mariners season last year, but compete for a wild card spot in the American League is definitely still in the cards for this team. And the way that the American League is kind of rolling this season, they're definitely still in it. But yeah, moving on to the rest of the game here. Mason Wynn homers off of the bullpen after DeGrom comes out, and he then cuts the lead in half, which kind of installs a little bit of belief into the Cardinals dugout, but overall it really wasn't enough for them the rest of the way, and the Rangers were able to hold on. Mason Wynn, getting back to him, he had a couple like kind of tough swings we saw from him tonight. One being against Jacob DeGrom on a fastball up in the zone where it looked like DeGrom kind of stumbled a little bit off the mound, and Mason Wynn just like took one of the worst swings you can see a guy really take, and then had a bad strikeout in that ninth inning, which kind of not sealed the deal, but gave the Rangers 2 outs and a lot of hope heading into that final third of that ninth inning. And so I'd like to see Mason Wynn, because he has such a great glove and arm over at shortstop for them, produce a little bit more offensively. He's kind of just been sitting in the bottom half of that lineup with a 650 OPS and getting overshadowed by a lot of the guys hitting well. And like guys like Nolan Gorman, he was an everyday starter years ago, and he's been kind of up and down, not playing a whole ton, getting hurt. He's also in the 600s in OPS. Just obviously this Cardinals team wasn't destined or didn't have expectations like other teams in the NL Central this year. But guys like this are some of the reasons why they're on a 3-7 skid in their last 10. They did just win that last series, but they need a little bit more contributions from these guys. But overall, I think the real story from this game was to see DeGrom get his 100th career win. Obviously, had a little bit of help from the bullpen because he only goes 5 innings, but nonetheless, that was still a great outing to get 8 strikeouts. And yeah, I think that was a pivotal game in this series. I wanted to really highlight this game because it was a cool pitching matchup, and curious to see how these offensive teams would produce. And then just a quick preview of game 2 tomorrow, June 2nd. We have Nathan Eovaldi versus Dustin May. Both these guys are kind of started to find their way a little bit over the course of the last few starts. This is kind of subtracting Eovaldi's last start in Houston, but both their last months were better than their months of April, and they kind of got off to some rough starts. So I do expect the offenses to be a little bit more prevalent in game 2. But one thing that was glaring when looking at these guys' stats was Dustin May's numbers when pitching at home versus on the road. He's nearly a whole earned run on average more at home, which I thought was pretty interesting. His whip is higher than every other category at home this season, so you could see another Rangers offense parade. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to pretty much do it for this episode of Dugout Debrief. This was just a quick, nice little debrief of the game 1 of this series. I'm kind of looking forward to the next couple games in this midweek series to see who will take it, because this is kind of a pivotal series for both teams. The Cardinals need another series win, while the Rangers are kind of seeking to get back up to 500 and continue their win streak. So yeah, any feedback or new ideas, please let me know down below. And thank you guys for listening.